Steve, this idea of the Insurrection Act being invoked, to me, it's kind of, it's not game over, but it feels like we're getting close to it.
Well, good to see you, Jim. Game
Yeah,
over
good to
for
see you.
what? What do you mean?
I mean, I think if Trump is allowed to invoke the Insurrection Act and send the National Guard into just about wherever he wants, and the Supreme Court says, okay, we'll let you do that, outside the wishes, against the wishes of people like J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, Gavin Newsom, and so on, that gives me great pause. That makes me worry a great deal. I'm just wondering what you think. What
Yeah,
your
it
thoughts
makes
are on it.
me worry. Look, at the end of the day, I think the focus on the Supreme Court, with your last guest, when you
Yeah,
said that if the Supreme Court permits this,
yeah,
and I don't think that's the right place, the right line. I think the Supreme Court is likely to permit it. The
yeah,
question is, will the American people abide it? I certainly won't abide it. And they can't shoot everybody, and I mean that dead serious. Um, the American people will have to take a stand on the streets in peaceful protest. Now, that decision will break the United States Army as an institution. The admiration the people feel for the American military and the consequence of the military being deployed against its own. I think it's very important to appreciate 17% of the military is black, and a lot of the black service members come from America's cities. And the truth of the matter is, Trump's delusions are delusions.
yeah,
There is no war in Portland or in any of these places. And the pretext that there is refuted by plain video evidence. And the idea that on the basis of the pretext and the delusion, I'll deploy the 82nd Airborne, while the deputy chief of staff, who apparently functions as the prime minister and in the MAGA chain of command, and we will know in detail through every email, every aspect of this, we will know who shot the priest in the head with the pepper ball
unreal.
behind the mask on the roof. We'll know the entire chain of events, the chain of command. And what it will show in time was that Stephen Miller, the architect of all of this,
Yeah,
is functionally atop the chain of command of the Attorney General of the United States. Stephen Miller is Pam Bondi's boss. She's an actress
yep,
and a bad one. Stephen Miller is Kristi Noem's boss. Stephen Miller is the corrupt crook Tom Homan's boss. And Stephen Miller said something on television, and the words matter here. He said Donald Trump has plenary power.
plenary. Yep,
And what that word means is absolute. And an example of someone who had plenary power was Hitler and Stalin. And no, as a matter of American law, the Constitution, history, precedent, everything that you wish to consider in the pot of consideration, President of the United States has limited power. He has temporary power. He functions as the head of a constitutional branch in a constitutional republic for a set term under the Constitution. And so that is not true. And he's saying it is,
yeah,
while pointing a gun at the head of the country. And so it's a dangerous moment, but the military in America, while terrifying when considering that it could be turned against a civilian population labeled terrorist for not loving Trump enough, that having had the experience of spending some time in Iraq in 2005, 2 years after the invasion, the U.S. Army wasn't able to secure the road between the airport and the Green Zone, Route Irish, the Highway of Death. And so the notion that there'll be a military occupation of the United States in the name of Trump and Stephen Miller using the American army against the American people is fucking delusional. And if there is a wish to test the proposition, I think that what the administration, or more rightly, the regime, will discover is that the appeasers, the people that led them to believe that there would be an indifference to all of this, that those people were outside of the main.
Yeah.
Those people were representatives of a rotten elite that lost to Donald Trump, and that in the main, the American people won't abide by it, who are slow to anger but fierce when provoked.
Yeah. And I am, these images of ICE and what they've been doing since they were unleashed by Stephen Miller, I mean, they just get more god awful by the day. You mentioned the pastor in Chicago who was hit with a pepper ball, shot at by an ICE officer. There's video that we can show and talk about this. I mean, this just took place at a Westwood, which is a neighborhood in Chicago, elementary school. ICE showed up and they were pulling a mother out of the car as she was picking up her kids from school. I'm old enough to remember when Donald Trump said he's going after the criminals and the gang members. I've said on my show repeatedly that's probably the biggest lie of the 2024 campaign. I mean, that was all horse shit. And they're just going after anybody, moms, abuelas, car wash owners who are legal U.S. citizens. They're, you name it. And I mean, you talk about retribution and accountability and maybe some of these ICE officers who are masked might be unmasked someday. There's a lot of these masked ICE officers just all over Chicago, just doing ungodly, unbelievable things. I mean, it's shocking to me, and I've seen a lot of shit. This is shocking.
These acts are indecent.
Yeah.
They are immoral, and in time they will be held to be unlawful. They are tremendous abuses of power. And as Congressman Crow suggested, never, ever again must be the response to this. And there must be a resolve amongst people who aspire to the presidency. This agency is a threat to the liberty of every American. It is a national obscenity, and it must be abolished. And there will come a time where every one of these jackbooted thugs will sit in a conference room and be asked, with a pen in one hand and a pad in front of them, to detail their involvements in operations where they were masked, and to account for every instance where they drew a weapon and pointed one at an American civilian.
Yeah.
Drawing a weapon and pointing it at someone from the very first time you ever set foot on a firing range, a rifle range, first time you ever pick up a gun, you're taught you don't point a weapon at somebody or anything unless you're prepared to fire the weapon. Yeah. And so the act of a law enforcement officer even drawing their weapon is a big fucking deal.
Yep.
And routinely pointing submachine guns, M4s, at American civilians who point iPhones back is not acceptable in a free society.
No question.
And what is happening will be long remembered. And this shameful period, and those who allowed it will occupy a place of ignominy and infamy in the American story.
Yeah.
And the American people should reject this. This is not right. Yeah. And what it means to be an American is to be faithful to the ideas of the Republic and the Constitution. This is American Gestapo.
Yeah.
This is not something that happens in a free society. And so what that means is America under Trump is not, in fact, a free society. And unless that trend is arrested, unless an opposition can say this must stop, and the American people embrace that, then things will get worse. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. I invite you to join this community where I promise to be honest, blunt, and direct about what is happening in this country. America is in crisis. Follow and subscribe to this channel and on Substack. Thank you.